All right, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Silq podcast. This is one I'm very excited about. I've been thinking about this for a long time now. I'm very thrilled to have Nisha with us, the man who runs Bioworld merchandising in every sense of the word. He's been with Bioworld for a long time, a couple of decades, if anything. Based in Dallas, Texas, Bioworld is essentially the master of the art of bringing beloved icons like Star Wars to Pokemon, apparels, accessories, home goods, luggage, everything you can think of from a licensed apparel manufacturing to product manufacturing. They're a powerhouse in that space. Vinny's been in the business for a long enough time that he's seen multiple economic cycles, multiple presidents, administrations come and go, tariff environments come and go. So I'm very excited to hear about his unique perspectives on what we're hearing in the market. So thank you, Vinny, for making time. But perhaps maybe if you want to quickly introduce yourself in where BioWorld comes from and your background quickly, and then we
Sure.
can get in.
Thank you. First, I don't run Bioworld. I'm just one of the many
Leaders.
pawns, as you would call it.
Yeah.
The true work is done by, the great staff, the amazing design team, and our sales team, and the global sourcing, production team all over the world. My job is to direct them in the right direction and learn from them and deliver the products that our consumers want. We call them fans, and our job is to get our fans the product they would love in everything pop culture at a price point which they are willing to spend and the quality which they would love and appreciate. That's what Bioworld is. Bioworld has been doing this for 25 plus years. We are a global company. We have locations in Europe and Canada and China and India and Philippines and Mexico and all the nice stuff. But I think the goal is, how do we consistently deliver the product to our fans?
Absolutely.
Fans, it's my job and our job to deliver them. And that's what we do. A little bit about me. I've been doing this for about 20 plus years, as Ram, you mentioned. Very uniquely, I'm an engineer by education.
Yeah.
I don't know what brought me to this industry, but it's how you apply your common sense knowledge to everything from sourcing to selling to warehousing to logistics and everything else.
Yeah.
Um, as I said, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, traveled many countries, visited more than 1,000 factories in different parts of the world. And again, we are just striving to make the products that our fans love to use and consume and be proud about.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Every time I see a product, and especially one of these Pokemon merchandise or any of the other more popular ones, I definitely think of you guys, right? It's about nailing that exactly what your fans want at that particular time, at that particular price point. It's not easy, huh? But the reason I'm particularly excited, obviously, coming from the background that I come in, helping companies move products, make products in other countries with inspections and shipping and other things. I was particularly interested to talk to you today because, again, like you mentioned, you're right at the cross section. You guys have 14 plus offices whole around pretty much every major economy around the world, whether you manufacture there or you sell there or you do both. You're getting very diverse perspectives. So obviously, we're in the middle of the precipice here. There's a lot happening in the United States. This is home turf for you guys. There has been a lot of whiplash. There's a lot of, I think I was joking with somebody this morning, stability is not a luxury we can afford at this point in time. There's a lot of volatility in the market. So maybe perhaps I'll just let you weigh in here on like, where are we right now? We're in the middle of a pause. It's impossible for a brand to make decisions because it takes 90 days to make products, another 30 to ship them. What should brands be doing right now preparing for the holiday season?
It's very interesting. At the end of the day, humankind figures out a way to survive. These
Absolutely.
are just different challenges, right? And it makes you do some kind of an introspection to figure out, better ways of doing things. Over the number of years, people have taken a lot of things for granted. We are not going back and looking at our processes. We are not going back and looking at our ways of working. In a way, China has spoiled us. And it took them 20 years to spoil us, but we all become very complacent. A lot of youngsters today probably don't remember what it was like going to China in 2001
Yeah.
and even before that. So it's not like you can pause. Everybody has to do business. Trade and consumerism is what we thrive on.
Yeah.
So we still have to figure out a way to do the business. As long as the consumer demand exists, It is our job and responsibility to figure out ways to fulfill the demand.
Yeah.
As of today, the demand has not diminished.
Yeah.
People are still buying, people are still going out, people are still shopping, just like we did in COVID, right? The whole world shut down, and all of a sudden, there was a huge influx of direct to consumer brands, and people started buying it online. And, we survived that. We figured out ways to not physically receive the samples and get on video calls and talk to the factories on video calls
Yeah.
and figure out ways to make the changes which you would have done in person or which you would have waited for a sample to come to you in 4 weeks and look
Mhm.
at the sample and critique on a sample and make comments. We shrank the timeline. It's to answer your point, it's a disaster. It just makes us improvise and
Yeah.
makes us look at things different ways. Tariffs came in 2018. There was a huge deal. Okay, it wasn't on everything. It was
Mhm.
Section 301. It only included some of the products. Unfortunately, for us, at that point in time, we make backpacks, we make headwear,
Mhm.
and those were impacted by 25%.
Yeah.
We did go all over the world. We did try and started working with factories in other countries to make that kind of a product. But again, then COVID hit in 2020, and China was the only steady supply chain, and we all flocked back to China.
Yeah.
I think the product is going to come. Holiday season is going to be there.
Yeah.
It just makes us do things sooner rather than later. Fortunately, China is back. 30% is affordable. We
Yeah.
are all going back to China because they still exist as a
Yeah.
country of manufacturing. They still have shorter lead times. They can
Yeah.
still make the product. It's a question of how do you balance and cost average out throughout the year? What do you want to do?
Mm. Mm.
So, not everything can go to a different country, but
Yeah.
not everything will go out of China either.
Yeah.
And not everything will be done in China. So the key is to find that right balance in costing, in time, in delivery, and figure out how do you cost average everything
Yeah.
and still be consistently delivering the product at a price point. I think that's the key.
Now, okay, I would love to go deeper into that, but before I get there to, where things are going to move, I want to hear your perspective a little bit more because you made an interesting point about how COVID actually improvised us. So, one thing we noticed during COVID, yes, there was a higher rate of inflation, but there was higher disposable income with people being able to afford, so the demand did not drop. Things were great. Right now demand has not dropped yet. You're spot on there, but it's puzzling for me because every brand, how are they managing right now without increasing cost? Inflation has not gone up, so cost has not gone up. Tariffs are impacting. We collected 113 billion in tariffs in the first 6 months of the year. Setting aside the rhetoric and the politics of who's paying for the tariff, we all know it's the importers who are paying for the tariff. How have the prices not gone up? How is the demand still high, and is that sustainable in your opinion? Because
No,
you have
it's
to
not.
make
Look,
decisions right now.
at some point in time, the price is going to go up. It's the initial shock
Hmm.
of the tariff. It's the initial shock of there is an increase in cost,
Yeah,
and the cost will be passed on at some point in time,
at some
right?
point. Okay.
At some point in time. But it's not that the entire 30% or the entire tariff is going to be passed on.
Yeah.
And this is where the next key thing comes in from two perspectives, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
and efficiency.
Yeah.
You have to figure out ways to become more efficient, drive technology and use technology in your processing,
Processing.
in your production, in your day-to-day working, and use the technology to become more efficient, to do
Mhm.
more with the same amount of resources.
Yeah.
And believe me, the factories in China are doing the same thing. Factories all over the world are doing the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
It is taking them back to looking at all their costs and figuring out how do we drive cost out of the product.
Gotcha.
Pretty interesting. I've been reading, and I'm sure a lot of viewers have read. There is a new word called tariff engineering. Uh,
Absolutely.
it's a very interesting concept. It's
Yeah.
something you would have never looked at an
Yeah.
HTS code and figuring out how to read the entire chapter and see what you can make changes to the product to
Yeah.
drive the 3% lower in duty.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
it's just bringing us back to looking at things differently, becoming more efficient.
Yeah.
I'm not saying finding loopholes, but
No, no, no.
think more be more intelligent, know more about the product,
Absolutely.
know more about the consumer. How do you make some changes to the product that the consumer does not see that much difference in the value of the product,
Yeah,
and you're not passing on that all that increase, right? So
absolutely.
it's there is no one straight answer to it.
Okay.
There are multiple answers to the same question, and all the people along the supply chain have to come to the table and start thinking through, have to drive more efficiency so that we can save money,
Yeah.
which lowers the cost, which ultimately lowers the amount of tariff you're going to pay on the product.
Spot on. And you're 100% right. There is no reason to feel like, hey, this is not about loopholes. We are playing by the rules. We're not setting the rules. The
Nope.
rules are set. We're playing by the rules. So there's nothing to balk about duty engineering. It's absolute logic, right? You gave us a set of rules and we're playing by that. So I don't disagree at all. Maybe I want to kind of pivot a little bit more towards demand signals. Are you seeing any abatement in demand signals? I know, e-commerce numbers came out really strong. Amazon Prime Day was unbelievably great this
Crazy.
year. We're seeing the same thing across from Shopify, Walmart. Everybody's reporting great numbers. Are you seeing this trend will continue through the rest of the year for brands who are looking to make buying decisions right now?
As of today, I don't see, yes, there is a slight dip in demand, but it's not concerning.
Okay.
And the reason is there is a lot of news and there is a lot of conversation
Hmm.
and there is a lot of that fear about pricing going up, and there is a lot of fear about when you look at the news and when you see the
Yeah.
same thing over and over, even if you didn't know about it, you
Yeah.
start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Funny, my 14-year-old son always asked me, so what's happening on the tariff? Yeah. And I had to explain him what tariff meant, and
Mhm.
I had to explain him in his language, yeah, the prices are going up.
Yeah.
But is it going to make me not buy something that he wants? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He's going to go into high school, he needs a new
Hmm.
laptop. I'm going to go and buy a laptop.
Yeah.
There are other discretionary spends that you
Hmm.
might scale back on.
Back on.
I
Yeah.
might not go out and eat 5 times a day a week at a restaurant. We might eat at home, not splurge on a lot of those, or splurge on things which are more important to you. So
Absolutely.
I don't think the demand per se in the consumer products is going to be impacted as much,
Gotcha.
as long as the job market remains steady. And the numbers came out today and the market is steady.
Yeah.
We saw the numbers come out today again, and the inflation is not changing, it's not creeping back up. Ultimately, I think we are a resilient economy, believe it or not. I
Absolutely.
mean, people can say whatever what they want to say about us and their spending, but we
Yeah.
are a resilient economy.
Absolutely.
And short answer is today, I don't think there is going to be a huge shift.
Okay.
There will be a little bit of a pulling back, there will be a little bit of scaling back. But you know what? Consumer might not want to pay the same price they paid after COVID when they had extra disposable income for the product.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
consumer has become smarter. They have limited amount to spend, and
Yeah.
they want the best they can get in that amount.
Absolutely. Now, I have two questions I want to go from here. That's Thank you for that. I think this is something very reassuring to hear. I think you're right in that spot. Some amount of pullback will happen. That just reflects, but I don't think we're seeing a huge correction. That said, we're not seeing the regular pattern play out in the shipping trends as well. So we did some analysis. The first 6 months of the year, import volume grew about 4% over last year.
Yep.
That's pretty decent volume growth, to be honest with you, the scale at which the US imports. Now, what we also notice in that is it's more the larger companies, the specialty retail, the people who can afford to move quickly are the ones who were able to make that change happen. The little guys all contracted. So the guys who bring in less than 100 containers or so, they could not react as much. So, do you necessarily feel that the future, at least the policy direction we're going in, is a little bit more optimized for the bigger guys or the ones who have the pockets to react quicker?
Absolutely not. Nobody was complaining right after COVID when all of a sudden there was a huge surge in direct to consumer brands.
Yeah.
Were
Okay.
there?
Yeah. No, there was not.
Nobody was complaining. So it's again the same thing, right? That's how business evolves.
Yeah.
You start up, you build the business, and as you grow, you have to improvise on what you're going to do.
Okay.
That's how I view it. I'm sure there are other people, but I don't think the policy that is put in place makes one person stronger than the other.
Okay.
It's how fast you adapt to changing time.
Okay.
How fast you adapt to the business cycle.
Gotcha. So
Being
this is
agile
about
is very important today.
okay. Okay. And in fact, actually, you know what, to your point, it's harder for a big company to be more agile because it's harder to steer the ship faster versus a smaller company is more flexible. But it's interesting that the numbers shook out the way that I saw. I was curious to get your thoughts. Now, let's go into the elephant in the room here, which is what's going on in China. I was in China on Friday last week. You just came back as well. Obviously, my perception that all this tariff talk in some ways essentially is a lot of noise with one clear message being sent to somebody specifically in the room that we're all trying to address, which is China. What are you seeing in the market? Because from our end, we feel like these trade tariff kind of policy changes did hurt China. It hit them hard in certain places. And now they're recovering. This pause is really helping. To your point, America is a resilient economy. Our weakness is our strength. We do spend more than we make, but at the same time, we're the largest consumer economy, and it's impossible to replace us that easily. So, what are you seeing in China? What is their perspective? Are you seeing them being able to survive this, even if America doesn't consume as much? Or what is their perception? What are you hearing in the market?
I don't consider myself an expert in China, but over the number of years, they don't want to be the cheapest supplier of products anymore.
Okay.
You've been to China,
Of
you have
course.
seen the number of EV, the number of phones, and the number of technological advancements they have made, how they have shifted the gear from making a $2 t shirt to making a $20,000 car. So the short answer is yes, there will be people and there will be factories who will have a problem. But overall, this is not the product they wanted to be. And that policies over the last 10, 15 years have
Hmm.
shown it. They have made huge investment in all these technological infrastructures to make those products. There are other countries who can produce the same amount of product and the same
Hmm.
type of product. Maybe everything goes back to China. If a Bangladesh and a China, very classic example, Bangladesh is tariff at 36% and China is tariff at 30%. That product, which was supposed to move to Bangladesh, is going back to China.
Yeah.
So we are going to see a lot of these movements till all the pieces fall in place.
Yeah.
You can't react to one thing anymore.
Yeah.
You have to diversify your supply chain.
Yeah.
You have to be in a place where you can buy the same product from 3 4 different countries to average out and to continue with your supply chain. Again, it's seesaw.
Yeah.
You made a lot of money after COVID shipping all these containers with all these crazy prices.
Of course.
That was a wake up call for a lot of people in 2020 that we have to diversify out of China. That
Yeah.
was a and a lot of companies, even companies like us, have made that move to diversify your supply chain. It's not getting out of China, it's diversifying your supply chain. If you're trading in stocks or if you're looking at your own personal investment, there is a concept, right? It's called what do you call it when you invest?
Balancing, rebalancing.
Yeah, balancing, or
Yeah.
people use fancy words, but
Yeah.
you don't put all your money in stocks.
Of
You
course.
put it in
Yeah.
stocks, you put it in
Balanced
bonds, you put it
portfolio.
in
Yeah.
cash, you put it in CD, right? So it's the same thing. Even in supply chain, it's the same thing. You are going to diversify and you will find that right balance.
It's interesting, but again, I want to push on this because we work with a lot of SMB companies, as we call them,
Yeah,
companies, brands that maybe have 5 million a year in sales in that spectrum, right? Now, just using rough rule of thumb here, if you're selling $5 million worth of merchandise, you're probably procuring about a million and a half dollars worth of merchandise, roughly speaking. And then your scale is so small, you might not be in a position to be able to diversify to multiple places. And frankly, it's still very hard beyond China to go to another country to make, I don't know, 500 units of a particular style of apparel. Or do you think that is changing as well with newer countries emerging and saying, yeah, we'll make 500 units of a t-shirt?
absolutely. I
Okay.
mean, Ram, you go to India. Can you make a T-shirt in India, and can you make it in 500 units if it's 100% cotton?
Yes, cotton. You're right.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Great. So now it's the next point, which is also very important. It's we. I have this saying which I heard from somebody is finding this purple squirrel. So China has made us to a point where I can just make a phone call and get whatever I want.
Yeah.
What will happen is you will have to go to the countries, figure out what their strengths are, and design your product into their strengths.
Ah, okay. So it's not about trying to make the same Chinese product in another country.
Correct. And that is what I was saying earlier. You have to be smarter on adapting. I
Ah,
mean, if you want to make the same exact product that you're buying currently from China, go to other countries, you will fall on your face.
okay. That's a
Right?
very clear distinction. That's a very clear distinction. That's very important to call out. That actually brings me to a question now. I know you've been in this business multiple decades right now. 20 years ago, we saw this migration happen where Japan, for example, was the biggest maker of fabrics.
Yep.
Japan, Korea, they made amazing fabrics. And then obviously the labor was more expensive there. Chinese market was opening up. So we saw this trend where Chinese fabrics or zippers or whatever, YKK zippers or whatever,
Yep.
would go from Japan to China and you would make the product in China and ship it out. Now, obviously, Chinese labor is not cheaper anymore. And to your point, they don't want to be cheaper also. The question is, are you going to, I mean, we're prophesizing here. We could be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong here. But do you think the next era is going to be, if you're trying to make the same Chinese product, avoid tariff, or for whatever reason, geopolitical, whatever reason you want to make it somewhere else? Do you think the next era of manufacturing is Chinese raw materials moving to another country? That's a trend we should expect to see in the next 20 years?
Yes and no. I'll use one more example. Who is the largest producer of polyester in the world?
China.
Indonesia, India, and China.
Okay. Oh,
Right. So if Indorama is one of the largest manufacturers of
true.
polyester,
Yeah, true.
it's not China. Yes, it is China, but it's not China.
Okay.
There are suppliers, there are resources which are available. It's we have not dug in deep enough to find it. What I
Hmm.
said earlier, we have been spoiled. We have been we have become complacent.
Mm-hmm.
China was not built in one day. People were buying fabrics from Japan, imported into China, and manufacturing. Today, things have changed. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of things are available in the country of manufacturing.
Gotcha.
A couple of years ago, yes, if you wanted a particular thing, it wasn't available in India.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted a particular printing technique, it wasn't available in India. If you
Mm-hmm.
wanted a particular embroidery machine, it wasn't available in India.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just using India as an
Yeah,
example, right?
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
today, everything is available. It's how much the supplier in India believe in importing it and in manufacturing it and in exporting it. Every India is a big consumer of products domestically.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that a product cannot be made in India? If
No,
you take anything, right?
yeah.
Every country is consuming what they are making,
Mhm.
or vice versa. So it's going down to finding and adapting to what is already being done.
Makes sense. It's also about getting that whole, the value triangle, right? Your cost, your
Yep.
time, getting all of that to be working out, and the quality, of course, cost, quality, and time to be working out the way you want. You get only two. Are you going to be able to get the third as well? I
Correct.
think China has gotten us to a place, to your point, right? They've spoiled us, for lack of a better word. Being 15, 18 days, you could get something in from China, manufactured and shipped to the US in 18-day transit time.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of that pushback. Hey, I would love to move this to India or Bangladesh, or but it's the longer transit time, sometimes shipping raw materials. I think it's just a matter of maturity over time. To your point, adapting your product to those countries is one way to look at it.
No, and I mentioned earlier, Mexico can do a lot of the products.
Yeah.
It's how much patience you have to work with the suppliers in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
get what you want. And
Mm-hmm.
also the you have to find that right supplier in Mexico who has the same thought process, who
Yeah.
has the same willingness to work with you,
Yeah.
right?
That's not
And
easy.
to make it happen.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this yesterday evening. One of the jobs of a sourcing person today is becoming a salesperson. I'm
Hmm.
selling my company to a new factory every single day,
Ah.
right?
Nice. Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typically you're used to getting bombarded with emails asking for us to buy products from them. Today, we have to go and convince them what our mindset is, what is our expectation,
Yeah.
how do we want to commit to working with them to get to a point where they become a steady supplier. And you are trying to squeeze this in a very short time frame.
Yes, to be very honest with you, it's music to my ears. I've been saying for the longest time, it's about time we stopped looking at supply chain as a cost center and started looking at it as a competitive advantage, which is what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Now, to your point about, for example, let's take Mexico or any of the other countries for that matter. How have Chinese manufacturers evolved in terms of building capacity in other countries? Because I can't imagine them sitting on their hands and waiting to see where the dust settles on this whole tariff situation. There is a sense of, for example, if you talk in Vietnam, northern Vietnam specifically, I'd say there's a huge trend that, yes, Chinese suppliers have set up manufacturing in that country. So, to your point of somebody who's got the same mindset, who's willing to work with you, well, you have that because they know how this works and they're able to work with you. Are you seeing that as essentially a tactic that potential Chinese manufacturers are adopting to overcome wherever the dust settles on tariff?
Yes and no. Yes, because they have understood and they have recognized that they will have to do it. Just like
Hmm.
we are saying, I'm saying from a US sourcing perspective, have to diversify.
Gotcha.
The factories are understanding that they have to diversify.
Mhm.
But what has been holding them back is the most important thing. The no factory in China or in any other part of the world
Mhm.
rely only on one source of clientele. So a factory in China, for example, has clients from Brazil, from Europe, from other parts of the world, as well as from the US. So strategically, they have to figure out how they're going to balance. They
Mhm.
have built an infrastructure in China,
Mhm.
so they have to get that infrastructure going.
Yeah.
They want to build a new infrastructure in, let's say, a Cambodia or a
Mhm.
Bangladesh.
Yeah.
They have to build that infrastructure and they have to make sure that infrastructure and that capacity is being utilized.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do they find that right balance? That's what that is exactly what has been holding them up for the last 4 or 5 years.
Gotcha.
But I think it just took them over that edge after April 9th, that a lot of suppliers have made up their mind that they have to do this to keep a balance in their business.
Okay. They're
Right.
doing the same balancing like you suggested that we should be doing.
Correct. Because you have your infrastructure, you have a factory in China.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to make, or potentially I'm not going to use that to export to the US, but
Hmm.
there is also life outside of US for that.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is Europe, there is Australia, there is Middle East, which is another
Yeah.
growing market,
Yeah.
and that's where they're going to go. And that's
Okay.
what they are maintaining that business.
Okay. Now, okay, that brings me to this question because you have exposure to all these markets. You sell in all these other countries as well.
You
I'm
bet.
sure you have. How easy is it? I can't imagine it being easy to be able to, even if America were to consume 20% less than it consumed last year, it's going to be
Yep.
very hard for these manufacturers to find a market in that short a time span in let's say the Middle East or any of these other countries. Unless am I missing something here?
So I haven't looked at the data overall, but and again, I can quote the numbers because I don't know
Yeah.
the numbers.
Okay.
But if you look at a global consumption, do you think the global consumption is on the rise overall, including the US?
No, more or less, I don't believe so.
So it's not declined, has
It's
it?
not declining. It's holding steady. It's going up slower than you would like it to.
It's net zero sum.
Yeah.
The water is rising.
Okay.
If I'm a manufacturer, the water is rising. It's ebbing in one place and it's going up in the other place. But as a manufacturer, my business is going up little by little.
Okay. Rising tides raises all boats.
So even if we look at ourselves, right, we probably want to enter into product categories that we haven't done, which brings unique challenges, but then that is diversification.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing something, I'm not working on a product type, or we're not delivering a product type,
Yeah.
there is always going to be this white space that you find in the retail market to increase your business.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
That
creating opportunities.
makes sense. Makes sense. So now let's roll back a little bit to focus, to talk a little bit about business, your business, how you're thinking about sourcing and all that. We just spoke a little bit about figuring out what's good in these countries and there's balancing your portfolio, buying the same SKU from multiple places. Let's double click on that because I'm sure most of our listeners, again, importers would love to hear. more about that perspective, given the scale at which you guys operate. Now, obviously, there is the advice that I took just to recap for the people who are catching up here. One, try to localize your product by trying to find raw materials that are native to the country you're trying to manufacture in, instead of trying to replicate and carry this from China and try to do the same in other places. At the same time, also, you want to try to dual or triple source merchandise in multiple places to balance your portfolio. They contradict with each other. How do you see this?
So ultimately, you will look. Right now, we are in a flux. Nobody has a playbook. Let's. Would you agree?
Of course. Oh, please.
Nobody has a playbook.
Nobody has
Right
a
now,
playbook.
all you're doing is you're throwing all the darts on the wall and
Yeah.
trying to figure out what is going to stick. Right.
Yeah.
So you are going to have three, four different strategies.
Absolutely.
My brain is churning every single day on a new strategy. You write it down, you scratch it off. You write it
Hmm.
down, you scratch it off. Triple sourcing, absolutely. But ultimately, if I visualize this correctly, and this is my personal opinion, there will be product types which will have a lane. So you will come to a place where you say, if I'm going to make product A, that product A will only go to this country as a point of diversification. But if I want the same product at a short lead time, so
Absolutely.
it all boils down to planning.
Hmm.
It boils down to knowing what products you want to bring in and identify under what circumstances that product will be manufactured in what country.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So the easiest example again is a t-shirt. A
Hmm.
t-shirt can be made in South America, in
Hmm.
Central America, in
Hmm.
Mexico, in Bangladesh, in India, in China. At some point in time, you will have a clear path on where do you want to make your t-shirt.
Gotcha.
It will be cost, it will be delivery, it will be execution,
Quality. Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will ultimately find a clear path.
Okay.
And at that point, you'll stop triple sourcing.
Yeah. So let's double click on that to your point, right? I think you're spot on there. You're going to have to experiment. You can't sit on your hands and wait for things to fall down or settle down effectively. Now, obviously, doing this triple sourcing takes time and resources. It's
Yeah.
not easy, right? It can be a distraction sometimes because, again, we're all trying to thrive and survive all at the same time, and it's not easy. So, for companies, again, you at the scale that you operate might have certain luxuries with teams in local countries and other
Yep.
places. Certain companies like the small and medium sized companies I was talking about, how do you foresee this? Like, how do you tell them, what advice would you give them to be like, hey, you want to quickly iterate? To your point, you've been making a product in China for the last, I don't know, 5 years. Now you're like, hey, we don't know where things are going to land. Who knows? China might be the best location, but you want to double or triple source. What is the first step? Are we starting with Alibaba? Would that be your advice? What would your advice be to these companies who might be starting out on how efficient can they be with iTrading and finding new suppliers?
So I have the same question to you, Ram. From a
Hmm.
technology perspective, today, all this data is easily available on your fingertips. Is it? Or
Absolutely.
is it not?
Absolutely. It is. It is. But it's just that people don't know where to look for or what to trust because there is also a lot of misinformation in the market.
100%.
Yeah.
But you will have to dedicate some part of your day in this.
Okay.
I'm not saying you spend all your 8 hours looking for factories in multiple places, right?
Yeah.
You have to dedicate 30 minutes into research.
Yeah.
There are multiple websites, there are multiple places you can go to. If you Google, you will find, if you Google BGMEA,
Hmm.
you will find a lot of factories in BGMEA. That's Bangladesh,
Yeah.
garment, and whatever.
Yeah.
You want a product to come out of, just some other day, somebody sent me a website link which has the data of all the major factories or major retailers and where they are bringing their products from. If you look at Gap or if you look at Target, all this data is publicly available.
Of course.
So it's matter of honing in on what you want, honing in and looking into it, spending some part of your day to look at that thing,
Mhm.
send out 50 emails. I used to work in an insurance company at one point in time, in
You had an
sourcing,
eclectic career, I should say, but go on.
in sourcing, by the way. And our VP of sourcing at that point in time basically explained us the business. An insurance company gets leads, an insurance agent gets a lead of 100 people. They will cold call this 100 people, and maybe 10 people will actually speak to them,
Yeah.
and maybe they will make one sale out of it.
Hmm.
But does that mean that salesperson is not going to do that forever? they will keep on, you have to
Yeah.
keep on doing it. If this is important to you, and it is very important to us for a business,
Mhm.
not to be in a situation like this again, then you will have to find and figure out that how much percentage of your time you're going to spend on doing this. The
Gotcha.
easiest answer is doing nothing.
No, that's not an
And
option.
and we all learned on the 9th of April that's not an option.
We're learning every month at this point. Now it's April 1st and April 12th. So that's August 1st and August 12th. That's the two deadlines we're working towards right
It'll keep on coming. We
now.
can't control what we cannot control.
Yeah. Okay, so let's maybe narrow down a little further, right? Let's pick a product because again, it's a kind of a dumb question to be like, how do you go find factories or what do you look for in factories? Because it's very subjective. The product, the category, a whole bunch of things, right? So maybe let's pick an example like cashmere sweaters, for example, right? Like we
Yep.
have a couple customers to do that. Now, you want to narrow down here. What is Vinny's checklist of things that you would be like, okay, you went through customs liquidated data, let's call it that. That's the quickest way to find, okay,
Yep.
where does the most popular brand source their
Yep.
products from, like the factories. You can find the names of factories there, reverse engineer that. Google will give you the contact information.
100%.
You reach out to them. From that point, you've reached out to them and said, okay, I make this product in China, I make it whatever number of units, can you make it? Now they say yes, I can make it. Then what is a checklist on Vinny's head or Vinny's mind to be able to like, okay, I want to go forward with sampling, or what is that checklist looking like in your head?
Staying, okay, let's say you somehow miraculously found a factory which happens to be in Peru.
Okay.
Random, right? It's in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
So your checklist is pretty simple. Who are they doing business with? What are the products they're shipping? At what price they're shipping? To whom they are shipping?
Okay.
That's basic.
Okay.
Okay. Second is understanding what kind of a machinery they have,
Okay.
how many sewing lines they have, how many
Mm-hmm.
people they employ, which gives you some sort of an indication of the infrastructure. And let's say everything checks out. You are satisfied that they are working with your competition or they're working. Look, if they're saying I'm shipping, hypothetically, they say I ship to X, Y, and Z retailer. How difficult is it for you to go to that store and buy that product to
Gotcha.
actually see? But that's a basic checklist you will go through.
Okay.
But bigger one is, do they even have the infrastructure? Do they have any audits? Because in today's day and age, if a factory doesn't have an audit, you probably don't want to work with them. They
Of
have to
course.
have some kind of an audit.
Okay.
So from an audit report, you can see somebody has validated, right? A third party has gone in and validated there is a building.
Mm-hmm.
In that building, there is a person. In
Mm-hmm.
that person, there is a sewing line.
Okay.
It's a detail which is signed off by a third party. It's simple, right? And now, again, depending on, okay, everything checked out. Okay, let me place an order for 500 pieces if that's your MOQ, or
Okay.
100 pieces if that's your MOQ. Therein comes in how much money you want to allocate. Are you going to do a trial? And what is that product you're going to bring in? You're
Mm-hmm.
never going to account for that. I'm actually going to sell it and turn it into a profit.
Makes
So
sense.
you're not going to take your entire brand new line, give it to a new factory, a new person, in the hopes that they're going to deliver.
No, you're right.
Now, you
You want
can
to
do
start
that.
somewhere.
You can absolutely do that. Take a flight, go there, and stay
Yeah.
there.
That feels like you're going to Vegas and putting your entire 401k on the roulette table. You want to start small, you want to build up over time.
But one thing is very important, and I'm an old school person, and I'll say that. Traditionally, the business was done on a handshake. We have to do more and more of that. You cannot be just hiding behind a computer and
Yeah.
cross your fingers.
Okay. Yeah, getting out there is, yeah, I can't deny it. I think one of the benefits of COVID was that we got efficient with technology, but also the downsides of COVID was we also got complacent with technology.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm on the same page with you. Obviously, I have a lot more questions to go in, but I also want to be respectful of time here.
Sure.
So, at a high level, what is your final takeaway? Let's prophesize right now. We'll come back at the end of the year and see what's going to happen. But let's look at what is expected to happen in the next 6 months of the year. Obviously, the holiday season is the biggest event in American economy. Are you expecting this year's holiday sales to be greater than last year's? Would you say that you're prophesizing growth over last year?
Growth, maybe not.
Okay.
There will be a slight decline,
Okay.
but it's not going to be significant.
It's not going to be significant. Okay.
You're going to see about 4 or 5% drop, but I might be wrong.
Hey, that's fine. That's the business we're in. Now, on the same end, do you see the whole Section 321 de minimis going away becoming an advantage or a disadvantage for, frankly, any kind of retail at this point in America?
Let me ask you a question in a different way. Under 321, do you think that prices were correct? The product you were
No,
buying, okay,
100%.
100%.
No.
So we just got spoiled.
Yeah,
We spoiled the consumer, all
absolutely.
of us who are
Yeah,
bringing the product under 321. We spoiled the consumer. We made them buy the product at the price we were selling for. And now we are crying that, oh my God, I can't make the same amount of product anymore.
Uh, okay, all right. That's a good way to put it back to me. I think the one area that I was actually hoping to hear was like, and which you addressed, to be honest, is we close loopholes here. Now, for there were businesses who were exploiting the loophole to a point where not only was it being underdeclared or priced differently, it's also about a lot of IP theft. A lot of that was the part that was really ruining the American economy in some ways. I feel like taking value away from the amount of dollars invested in building the IP. And now all of
Right.
a sudden you have just declared as t-shirts, but it's Harry Potter t-shirts and somebody's owed money
Right.
technically and they're not getting paid.
And look, we felt the biggest brunt of it because we
Yeah.
actually license this merchandise and
Yeah,
pay royalty on it. And the end consumer doesn't know the difference. And they were paying $5 for something which I would be charging $20 for.
absolutely.
So, in a way, that is going to work for us. In a way, it is
That's a good
going to
thing.
improve the business from our perspective. But yes, it did impact a lot of these growing brands who were doing the right thing and who were doing nothing but following this
The
loophole
rules.
which was created and
Absolutely.
growing the business 100%.
Mhm.
So, in every part, you are going to have this people who are taking advantage of the loopholes for wrong reasons, and they will be completely weeded out. The
Yeah.
right, the people who are playing by the books are going to find other solution to survive and be in business.
Great. No, thank you. That was great. I really want to thank you for the time you took to talk about
Sure.
this. I also want to put the word out there to anybody like Vinny loves this world of sourcing and global trade. I don't think I've had very eclectic conversations with him over the years. In fact, we have a shared common friend, Marla, who runs account management here at Silq. We talk about how people in sourcing and merchandising have the highest pain threshold. You guys are dealing with a lot. She considers that to be a superpower. So Vinny is one of them who's had that superpower for a very long time and has honed that skill. And so, if anybody out there who's listening is interested to talk about sourcing and get perspectives, and obviously either for Bioworld or at a personal capacity, I'm sure Vinny has a lot of opinions and be willing to share. Please reach out to us. And the Bioworld is also a company that you should definitely be looking to partner with because they have immense scale and capabilities and connections in the retail industry that could be advantageous for any brand out there today, regardless of your product category. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you for your
Thank you,
time, Vinny.
Ron.
Really appreciate it.
Yep. Talk to you later. Thanks a lot.